All right, if you're a leader in a K-12 school district, maybe a superintendent, a CFO, a business official, then listen up. This one's for you. We're going to walk through the playbook, not the technical stuff, but the leadership moves you absolutely need to have ready for when a cyber crisis hits. Let's dive in.
Okay, let's just drop you right into the middle of it. Imagine this. It's a totally normal Wednesday morning. You're just getting into the swing of things, and then the phone rings. It's your payroll manager, and their voice is tense. They tell your CFO they can't get into anything. Every file is locked, encrypted, and there's a lovely little note on the screen that says, read_me_now.
And here's the real gut punch. Payday is Friday at noon. If you miss that deadline, hundreds of your staff members, your teachers, your bus drivers, your custodians, they don't get paid. So, let me ask you straight up, what is your first move? Who do you call? What is the very first instruction you give? You know, this isn't some far-off hypothetical anymore. For school districts, this is the reality. Look, your first instinct might be to panic. That's totally normal, but it is the absolute worst thing you can do. The right response? It's to calmly open your playbook. Because when chaos hits, the first thing everyone needs to know is, who is in charge here?
So this is where your cyber incident response plan comes in, and we need to be crystal clear about what this is and what it isn't. This plan is not for your IT director. It is for you, the leadership. The best way to think about it is like a fire escape plan for a digital fire. It's not about how to put out the fire raging in the server. It's about how to get everybody out safely and, more importantly, how to keep the school running. It's an operational guide, not a technical one.
And at the heart of that plan, that's your cyber incident response team. This is the crew that owns the crisis. The superintendent, you're the incident commander. You have the final say, but you've also got legal, finance, your communications lead, and of course your head of IT. This group is your command center.
And that brings us to maybe the simplest but most critical first step you can take right now. This form. It looks simple, right? But trust me, if these boxes are empty when a crisis hits, you are burning precious hours, maybe even days, just trying to figure out who to call. So here's your homework. Fill this out. All right, so you've got your team assembled. What's next? Job number 1 is to cut through all the noise and get a real sense of what you're dealing with. You've got to assess the situation, and you've got to do it calmly. Your playbook gives you a framework for this, so you can skip the panic and start making smart decisions.
And hey, you don't have to invent this from scratch. The gold standard here comes from NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, and it's actually pretty straightforward. It just helps you categorize the real-world impact on a simple scale. Is it none, where there's no real effect, or is it all the way up to high, meaning basically you can't provide critical services to anyone anymore? This gives everybody a common language to talk about just how bad things are.
So what does that actually look like in a school? Well, a low-impact incident might be really annoying, right? Staff painting is just crawling along. It's frustrating, but school goes on. A high-impact incident, though, that's a catastrophe. Your student information system is just gone. No one can get to grades, schedules, attendance. Knowing the difference between those two is absolutely crucial.
So now you know how bad it is. At this point, you turn to the Start Here section of your plan. Think of this as your break glass in case of emergency checklist. These are the immediate actions for that first meeting in the very first hour of the crisis. And I want you to pay close attention to what's at the top of this list. See? It's not about rebooting servers. It's all about leadership. First thing, are there any life safety issues? Can people still call 911? Second, appoint a scribe. This is a person whose only job is to write down every decision, every phone call, every action. From a legal standpoint, this is so important. And third, you make a decision right away. Do we need to bring in the big guns, like the FBI or the Federal Cybersecurity Agency, CISA?
And this really gets to the core of your job as a leader during a cyber attack. While your technical team is, down in the server room wrestling with the technology, your job is up in the boardroom. And that job is to figure out how to keep the school running when all the screens are black. Okay, let's jump back into that nightmare scenario we started with. Your financial systems are completely and totally locked down.
Seriously, how are you going to do it? Do you have a documented step-by-step process for cutting paper checks? Do you even know where the blank check stock is? Who has the authority to sign them? Who has the offline employee data to even calculate the pay? You cannot be figuring this out on the fly. Let's try another one. The software that creates and manages all of your bus routes? Poof, it's gone. Offline.
So, how are kids getting to school on Monday?
Do your drivers have paper copies of their routes? Do you have a phone tree or some way to coordinate all this manually? Because if the answer is no, you could have thousands of kids standing on street corners with no ride to school. That is an operational problem, not a technical one.
At the end of the day, your plan has to include these documented manual workarounds for your most critical functions. This quote really says it all, doesn't it? The absolute worst time to figure out your backup plan is when the power's already out.
Okay, we have covered a lot of ground, so let's just boil it all down to 3 concrete, manageable things that you, as a district leader, can and should do right now.
First, define your team. Get the template, open it up to Section 4, and put actual names and cell phone numbers in those boxes. Second, choose your org chart. Decide now who reports to whom when everything hits the fan. And third, and this one is huge, document your manual workarounds. Write down, step by step, how you're going to handle payroll, transportation, food service, all of it when the computers are down. These 3 things are the foundation of your entire plan.
And so I'll leave you with this one final question to think about. If you walked into your office tomorrow and every single screen in the district was black, is that playbook printed out, filled in, and sitting on a shelf, ready to go? Because your answer to that question is going to determine everything that happens in the next days, weeks, and maybe even months for your district, your staff, and your students.